Hey, what's going on? Going to show you my dead simple but extremely effective strategy for EQing drum overheads and cymbals in a heavy mix. This is going to give you a really focused cymbal sound that you actually have control over rather than just kind of a messy, kind of blah sounding overhead track with the whole kit in there where you really don't have control or clarity in the cymbals. So let's check out my drum mix here. Before I show you what I've done here, let's just bypass my plugins. So here's just the raw overhead track. Now, here's what I ended up doing on the Cymbal EQ, and this is an approach I use for pretty much all rock, metal, hardcore, heavy music, and the goal of what I'm about to show you is to get a very focused cymbal sound. Okay, so when I get an overhead track, I'm not trying to treat it like an overall kit picture. I'm not trying to get the overall drum kit sound from my overheads. I'm trying to control the cymbals, isolate the cymbals, and have it be basically a cymbal track, not really a drum overhead track. So here's how I accomplish that. Let's bring on this EQ. So let me reset this so I can walk you through it. First step is an aggressive high-pass filter. So we're going to bring this up. Usually, it depends on the genre. If it's really fast technical metal and you really need extreme clarity on all the cymbal hits, you can bring this up fairly high, all the way up to like 600 hertz or so. Typically, I land somewhere between 400, 500. And the better the recording is, the more you can kind of keep in. But notice how, as I'm pulling this out, or pulling this up, the bleed from the kit, the rest of the drum kit starts to really disappear, and you're left with just the cymbals, just the focused cymbal sound. That's going to let us have a lot more control over the cymbals and over the other pieces of the kit, because it's not going to be interfering and competing with what's going on in our overhead tracks. Okay, so anywhere from 400 to 600 there is a starting point. And then from there, usually in the overheads, there's kind of like a papery, kind of nasty mid-range sound that just I don't know, just kind of sounds honky. You don't really want it in the cymbals. So let's try to find that. Again, it's usually between 600, 700, maybe 800 hertz. Hear that? Okay, so then you can dip that out as well. So it's almost like with the EQ off here, we've got an entire drum track, and then with the EQ on, we've got a cymbal track. Now let's check out what this does in context with the rest of the drums. Bypass and then on. So not only is it just making the cymbals sound tighter and cleaner and more focused, but listen to the kick and snare too. Like that all sounds better too. It gives them space to really cut through and punch. So you can see how this is so powerful. And again, on something that's more laid back, like more stripped down, kind of earthy rock stuff, like of course you're not going to go this extreme on your cymbals and overheads. I mean, you might if you have some good room tracks, but generally, again, I'm talking about heavy rock, aggressive stuff where you actually want to hear the drummer hitting the cymbals and you want to have clear separation in the size and where the cymbals are coming from and all that. Then this is really has been my go-to technique for many, many years. Now, the only question this might be bringing up for you is, well, isn't this going to make the drum kit sound a little bit artificial or less glued together or just less natural? I mean, don't we want some of that kit sound in the overheads to keep the drum sounding real and natural and vibey? Well, my answer is yes, I want that, but I've just never been able to get it from overhead tracks. Like in all my years of doing this, I don't know if there's ever been a time where I've heard how the entire drum kit sounds in an overhead track and been like, wow, that's going to be the basis of my drum mix. I hear people talk about this and it sounds good in theory, but man, it just never works. And it's not really that surprising because who listens to a drum kit floating 3 feet above it? Like, we're just not used to hearing drums like that, right? So in my mind, I want to separate the cymbals from the overall drum kit sound. And the way I do that is, again, with this EQ I just showed you, and then I fill in the rest of the natural glue of the kit and the natural drum sound with the room tracks. So here's my overheads, and then watch as I bring in the room tracks. Best of both worlds, right? I can have full control over the cymbals on my overhead track, and then I fill in the rest with the rooms, which, as you'll notice here, with them soloed, I keep them pretty dark. So that's it. Use the high pass filter and the dip that I showed you on your overhead tracks to really get rid of all the drum kit bleed. Give that space to your close mics to help them punch through without having to be affected with potentially phase and just kind of lame sounds from the overhead tracks. Let that be focused on the cymbals and then fill it in with the room tracks. One more time. Here it is, off and on. So that's how to EQ your cymbals, your overhead tracks for heavy music, especially to really get a focused cymbal sound that you can have full control over in the mix. If you're looking for more kind of go-to starting points and EQ points for filters, for boosting, for cutting your other drum tracks and other tracks in the mix, bass, guitars, and vocals, I put together a mixing cheat sheet for you. It's over at makebetterrecords.com. Just sign up for my email list there and I'll send you the cheat sheet, and that will give you starting points like I just showed you in this video for all the other tracks in your mix, along with some compression settings to go to as a starting point as well. So check that out, makebetterrecords.com, or at the link below in the description, and make sure you're subscribed for future videos, and we'll talk to you later.